Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury, and welcome to our weekly stock night update. It's actually February 15th, 2021. In this video, I go over a handful of stocks that we cover on this channel. Apologize for getting this video out so late. I actually pre-recorded it and found out that the volume didn't really show up in the video, so I'm actually recording this twice tonight. And so real quickly, I just wanted to go over the tip of the week, which is really, we've been seeing a lot of these momentum plays that, stocks like Tilray this week, the marijuana stocks are just continuously gapping. And people forget that Monday, that stock was really just $26. And then we just saw the same thing we've been seeing. We saw it on DDD. We saw it on GameStop. We saw it on Sava. We saw it on AUVI. And the stock essentially just goes up, and shorts are trying to cover, and they're trying to find the top. And then what happens is they're constantly covering. And then what happens after hours is the stock continues to gap up. And we saw that with Sava Sciences, right? So a lot of times these stocks are overextended. And during the day one trading, the first day that they really make these moves, you'll see that there's always a trap around VWAP where essentially the short sellers jump in thinking the stock's going to actually tank. And then what it really does is it doesn't find a bottom. It actually goes back and starts to climb back up and retrace some of that movement that it just had, lost. And so a lot of shorts are trying to cover, and we saw that with Sava where it closed around 80 and then went up to 130. But then the day two action, when you start to see that it's having issues, it's stuck at a level, it can't get past, it's starting to fail, it's starting to fade. That's when short sellers can get involved. And then if you're a long, that's when you can cash out your position, right? Because if you're a long, you obviously want to capture this major move. So with Tilray, going from $26 and people, buying it at $60, $70, guys, this was a $26 stock. Not saying the marijuana plays are over, but it clearly was just, being pumped up. And so a lot of, traders, I got involved the day two when I saw it trading around 28 pre-market, knowing that, it was trading way below the VWAP, knowing that there was, some of the levels around the 35, 34 level that were identified as 4 to 5 points. And so it was a great trade last week. But for some of the, you guys who want to kind of go back and study, look at AUVI. And so look how AUVI, the day one, it had that major move and it trapped a lot of people up at almost to $30. Look what happens when it got to VWAP. It didn't reclaim. It reclaimed maybe $1 or $2, but it never reclaimed post-market, and it actually failed and faded, right? So this pattern, although we saw it on DDD, GameStop, Sava, and all these other stocks, it doesn't necessarily mean it happens to every other stock. So you want to look for that pattern. You want to look for that gap up. And when you see that gap up typically on the following day and it starts to fail, then it's basically just going to be a squeeze. The squeeze is over, and that it's essentially going to be shorts jumping in and just fading the trade. Okay, so real quickly, guys, for Apple, I mentioned that in the past we identified some dab plays at 130. And right here now we have a 133 level. It's just been trading sideways the last 2 weeks. And, let's just talk real briefly. Before earnings, we had this 145 triple top and we faded all the way down, and we really saw a lot of support at 130. So that's been a great bounce. But, again, guys, if you look here on my daily chart at the average true range, we have a $2, $3, range in the stock. So it's been really kind of a boring stock. And so I expect to see, that we're going to retest 138 and hopefully be able, through this consolidation, we should be able to break through it and get back right up here into the 140 resistance level. And the surprising thing about Apple is I feel like, we saw this massive move here, which was really due to the car. And it's been interesting because it seems like Hyundai, Kia, and now Nissan, we know, they've all just not been able to seal a deal with Apple. I mean, I don't know what. I'm obviously not at the negotiating table, but you would think that, Apple has a huge multi-billion fan base. Why would you not want to jump on that bandwagon, knowing that when Apple comes out with a car and you're the manufacturer, you're going to be making quite a number of cars. And so I don't know if it's the number crunching. I don't know, if these people aren't set up for it and they don't want to invest in it. But originally Apple planned to roll these out in 2025, and just the fact that we've had all these manufacturers sort of back down from it, I'm just kind of curious to see what Apple does. It'd be kind of funny if they ended up working with Tesla. That would actually be quite funny. So again, guys, just look for that 138 break if you're a breakout trader. And, if you're looking for any sideways action and looking for more of a dip buy, again, 130 has been a solid support. Our 150 is slowly approaching up here into the 135. So I don't see us trading much below that. And so, more sideways action, nothing that exciting. Like I mentioned, always my calls are always, anytime you're oversold on the RSI indicator and you reach the key level, it's always a good time to pick up some calls. And then you just sell them on the pushes. And typically you can get about, 30 to 50 cents easily on a move, sometimes even $1 intraday. Okay. Tesla, I did get involved. We've clearly had a $900 top on the stock. And we mentioned 2 weeks ago, we had a 775 support. Again, the thinner green lines represent dab plays where I essentially would add a small position. And so we had that come on a couple weeks ago, and I was really impressed. I mentioned in my previous videos that we were able to get from 780 to 880, guys, $100 within 2 trading days, and weren't able to hold that support. And there's some news that Elon Musk invested Bitcoin and yada yada. I'm not that worried about it. So we weren't able to hold this level here at 800. And we ended up Friday flushing all the way down to 780. The key here, and the reason why I'm not worried about it, guys, is we clearly found a bottom. We essentially recovered that. And you can see here that we closed higher than where we opened, right? So whenever you do that, you're essentially trending higher. And so as long as you're not closing much lower than where you opened, or essentially the same price, then you should be fine, right? So we essentially rejected that price and we pushed up. And so the first rejection, or sort of the first resistance, that I see tomorrow is 835 to 840. And like I said, if we really I can see this thing pushing up quick in the morning, like we normally see the push 15-20 points, guys, instantly in the first 10 to 15 minutes. That could be your one trade of the day and make the job stay away, right? And so 860 is in this thicker line, was definitely a line that you can see we constantly bounced off and weren't able to break it. We were able to break it that day, but remember, keep in mind, guys, resistance, we're looking at where did we close, which we closed below the 860. And so 860 is really the 864 range is where I'm looking for a breakout. And again, guys, we're trying to ultimately break this area here at around $900. Okay. So I'm not worried about it. First thing in the morning, again, I expect the 835 to 840 push. And then, like I said, we could trade sideways. If there's a catalyst, I could definitely see 860 this week, no problem. But I'm not worried about the stock. Tesla's a solid company, and it's going to continue to trend and keep the S&P floating higher as well. Palantir, my favorite stock on the channel for sure. Definitely been day trading it every day. Haven't been playing the option calls like I used to, but picked up a bunch of calls intraday, was day trading it, and then I picked up some coming into close, guys. I mentioned a lot of you guys on the channel had asked me what I thought about it a couple weeks ago going to earnings. I said, hey, if there was a pre-run going to earnings, definitely I could see it selling off. Guys, we're at $32, which if you remember early on before demo day, that's where we closed at. We closed at like 32.20 the day before demo day. So in anticipation, it was the Friday before demo day, we had closed at this level. And so this level to me is a key level. Now, am I worried that, we sell off? We could potentially sell off. And I have dab plays here at 31. And I also have my go super heavy level at 27.50. So I'm risking potentially 2 to 3 points of where we're at compared to what? An upside of what? $45 to $38. $45 is the level we just hit, and we're trading at 32, which is essentially a 30% haircut from our recent highs. And even if you want to argue, earlier in the week when we found out that IBM was doing business with PLTR, we're already at over 20% lower than that level. So, I expect tomorrow a ramp up. The first candle could easily get us up to 39 when the earnings come out at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will definitely be holding on full size to my position. And when I see that, I will definitely be selling a portion going into, potential resistance at 39. And again, if we can hold that level and trend higher, then I will be selling as we sort of trend up and test recent highs at 45. Again, if we go lower, I will simply just be adding to my position. So my idea is either to add a position if we see a dip or to sell as it rips. Okay. So really excited about the stock. Again, I'm just not worried about it. Even if it flushed to 25, whatever it is, you can sell weekly calls that we talked about on this channel, and you can make 50 cents, $50 essentially for every 100 shares you own a week easily, depending on whatever price point you have. So earnings come again, come out again at 5. And clearly this is going to be the top right here. And so this first candle, again, I'll be selling some of my shares, just kind of seeing where this thing wants to go. And like I said, if we could hold the trend, then I'll definitely be holding some shares and then selling more up in the 40s. Okay. So we have a ton of contracts we signed in fourth quarter, and we should hopefully hear some good news. A stock that I traded that I also bought calls that we have never really talked about on this channel was AMD. So here we had this triple top going into earnings at $96. So I showed the resistance line and the sticker red line. And so you can see this doji candle, I basically minimized my position. As I always tell you guys, always minimize your position going to earnings. You don't know how great it is. And, AMD's been killing it, right? I mean, they're in PlayStation, they're with Sony. They're just in a ton of different venues. We know that Intel can't keep up. Intel hasn't been able to keep up. And so AMD's been killing it. And then the next day, the earnings, every analyst and their mother was saying this thing was 110, 130, 140, 150. No one said the stock should be at $90. And so the fact that you saw it go below the 50-day and it flushed out all of these people, right? So we had the sell, we had this triple top, couldn't break it, clearly got rid of a lot of people, and we had this bottom base here at $87. Okay, has been a good support, but the ultimate bottom was at 85. Okay, so the thicker green line represents a heavy play where I would add a lot of shares compared to a dab play where I add a portion or a small size at 87. So we flushed out a lot of people. We found a bottom at 85, and now we've been holding the 87 level really well. And now you can see definitely we'll be hitting resistance at 96 this week for sure. And what I expect to see is one day relatively soon is a high volume coming in, and that's when we're going to see the institutional buyers come in and really push this thing up to $100. And for some of you guys who are interested, who were there trading AMD the day of the flush, guys, here's the algos doing what they do best. Look at the 15-minute chart. Look at that high there, $99.98. I actually knew some traders that were wanting to sell at $100. They missed it, and they actually never ended up selling, and now they're back holding. So very interesting. I minimized my calls here. I probably only had a few, and then I sold them at some pushes when I averaged down, and then I bought some more. And that's another thing I would also say is be careful about adding positions towards the end of a trading day. It's no guarantee that the next day it's going to gap up. We don't know in this market. Expect a pullback. Expect this market to start pulling back. We are again testing all-time highs, so expect that there'll be a good haircut for people who basically bought around COVID, and they've seen their money double, triple, quadrupled, right? And they're holding in the market, and those people will just stay and hold on to those shares. Longs are winning. So eventually when nothing moves, right, people start to sell and the selling pressure goes up. And then eventually we get new buyers and people wanting to buy shares. Like people won't buy AMD at 96, but they'll buy it at 85. So again, what I expect to see is the test of 96 this week. No doubt about that. And then a really, when you see a high volume day in institutional buying, we'll definitely see a high of 100. And I have about a third of my calls left. I had to sort of wait. And that's another thing, guys, is when you're buying calls, make sure you're buying them, 2-3 months out, because if if something like this happens to you, I bought calls down at $90, and just to give you an idea, now at 93, they're going for what they were worth when I bought them at 90. Okay, so obviously the closer you get to expiration, you obviously have, the value of the option goes down. And so, what I bought down here is now equivalent to buying something at 93. So it's not a good trade. So I'm not happy about it, but you can't win on everything. Okay, I had the biggest month of my career in January. February's been, a solid month as well. But, again, you can't always expect to just have, crazy winning trades every day. So with that said, guys, best of luck. As always, if you have any questions or comments, post them below. I will be doing some daily recaps on all of these 4 stocks this week as we trade for the 4 days. It will be a short week. And so if you guys have any questions, comments, post them below. I do respond to all comments. As always, guys, best of luck, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.